Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become a confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I'm excited to have us talk with Melinda Jackson, and let me tell you about Melinda. With over a decade of international PR experience, Melinda takes an untraditional approach to public relations, branding, and influencer marketing. Having worked on GRAMMY, EMMY, and PRSA Award-winning campaigns, Melinda has proven track record of helping clients grow their business and careers. MJPR, which is her business name, not only serves traditional clients, but also music and entertainment clients as well. Today, I thought it'd be great for us to talk about how to get press with or without a budget. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Melinda Jackson. Hi, Melinda.
So much for having me. Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, today I thought it is so wonderful to talk about press because most entrepreneurs forget all about it. And it's like, oh, why don't people know who I am and what I do? But before we get into the meat of this, I thought it'd be great for you to just let everybody know that simple question: where do you call home? Where do you live?
I live in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, awesome. I love Raleigh. So how did you get started in PR?
Yeah, so I grew up in a town of 4,000 people on the edge of eastern North Carolina. And so PR was not on my radar at all. When it was time to decide what I wanted to do in college, I wanted to do film school. And my parents said, no, we don't know anybody that's done that. Girls don't do that. That's weird. Like, we're not doing that. And, at the time they were filming a ton of things here in North Carolina. So I was kind of discouraged, but I'm like, okay. So I went to a different school. I was going to be a history teacher. I was history education major. And a few of the girls on the cheerleading squad with me at my college were communications majors. And that seemed to me like the closest thing to film school. And so I changed my major. And then that was about the time that the show The Hills was on MTV. And those girls were in LA and they were working in PR and fashion. And that's what really showed me, oh, wait, like, that's what I want to do. And it's not because of the show. The show really just put a name to what I felt like I needed to do. So after college, I moved to Los Angeles with $500 and no job. And I made it work. And 15 years later, here I am.
Awesome. It's amazing how TV shows can give us guidance and direction.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had somebody come to you and said, oh, Melinda, I have no idea what to do, what advice would you give them to get started with their PR journey?
Yeah, so the first thing I really tell people is to look at your brand and see, is everything consistent across the board? Because if we're going to be promoting you, we want everything to be really buttoned up. We don't want to confuse somebody. So we can get you all the press in the world, but if they go to your website and it's unclear what you actually do, or it's just kind of a mess, then we're going to have an issue. It's not going to convert to the business that you want. So the first step is really just making sure your branding is clear. Second is figuring out what your actual message is. Are you different than your competitors? What makes you unique? Do you have a really cool story? Were you a veteran that transitioned into something else? Are you a mom that started a side hustle that blossomed into this huge, amazing business? So figuring out that message that makes you unique and that's really going to stand out. Those are the first two things I tell people to do before we even send an email to a media outlet.
Awesome. All right. So our next question that I have for you is, what are some common mistakes that people make when they try to do this on their own?
Oh my gosh. Oh, there's a lot. I would say the first thing is just not knowing what to send, not knowing their messaging, and then also just reaching out to the wrong people. Like if you are like blowing up someone like a journalist's Instagram or an outlet's Instagram, they are going to get annoyed. There's a better way of doing outreach for sure.
So what about if you're not doing press in the traditional sense, but talk to us about social media. But we're both all over social media. What's I guess, the most manageable thing to do to be present but not overwhelmed with social media activity?
Yeah, I always tell my clients, do what feels right to you. Don't do it because you saw on Pinterest, this is the way to get more followers, or just because you saw somebody on TikTok say, okay, you have to post 15 times a week and you have to be on every outlet. Do what feels right for you and what feels authentic to your audience. That's what's going to help you. If you're posting 5 times a week and you're getting 2 likes on every picture, maybe scale it back a little bit. Maybe figure out a way to use the content that works and leave what doesn't. Just know your audience and see what's going to resonate most with them. If they are not on Facebook, you don't have to post on Facebook all the time. If Instagram really works for you, just dive into that. You don't have to do everything all at once.
And I think one of the things that people maybe miss often is they'll post and then they'll leave and they don't react to the post. And really that reaction is that back and forth is really what pushes your algorithm up. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, you definitely need that engagement with people. And that's also, doing that is going to help you engage with your audience more and make those connections. And those people are going to feel seen. They're going to feel heard. And that is going to help translate it into real business for you, or real press.
So what do you say about, and this might seem strange to some people in the audience, but being entrepreneurs, sometimes our mindset is not always where it needs to be. And so how do we balance this?
You go start over.
So I often, when you look at entrepreneurs, I often see that people just become overwhelmed so much that they tend to not do anything. And there has to be sort of a balance in your keeping that positive mindset and taking away some of the things we were just talking about, responding back to people. Well, sometimes, when I read some of the posts that I get from people, they're not always rosy and sunny and shiny. Everybody has a separate opinion. So how do you keep that balance of being positive and mentally, in tune with what really matters? A friend of mine says, keep the main thing the main thing. How do we make sure that we keep that balance?
Yeah, I think it's also hard for people like you and I who are helping other people with their businesses, because it's easy for us to get lost in everyone else's stuff or compare ourselves to everyone else. So I try to just tell myself, I'm doing what works for me. I'm doing what feels right. Sometimes if I compare myself to other friends that do PR and I say, oh, they have bigger clients than I have, I physically do not have the capacity to have a bigger business right now. Like I like keeping my team small. I like the clients that I have. I like how this is. So yes, I could make more money, but I would be exhausted and I would not be doing quality work for my clients. So when I start to try to compare myself to everybody else, I'm just like, you know what? I'm really lucky. I'm really blessed. This is what I chose. This is what I get. But that comparison is really hard.
And I think what you just said is really important for somebody who maybe is in a smaller business. You want that personal. You don't want to be in that just a number, you know, and somebody is helping you rather than Melinda. So
Yeah.
I think it's really important that you can give that personal touch to know your clients well enough to advise them well.
Yeah,
Talk more about that.
absolutely. Yeah, I have worked at massive firms. I worked at large firms in Los Angeles. I've worked at large firms here in North Carolina. And when I decided to go out on my own, it was because I knew I could do so much more for my clients one-on-one. And instead of having that red tape, and I'm the person that works with them every day, but I have to get approval from somebody else and go down the chain of command or whatever. I know I can work with my client and do exactly what they need and exactly what they want, and work a little bit on intuition as well. But I love it. I love keeping things small. I never want my clients to feel lost, and I really want them to see me as an extension of their business and of their team.
So what kind of things do you put out on Instagram and LinkedIn that can maybe help inform, train, advise us?
Yeah. So I am very big on helping people who maybe don't have a budget for PR, because I know that it is a big cost. So when I can, I try to, just give free advice and tell people, hey, here's some tips if you don't have the budget. Or I do a lot of consulting calls as well. And when I do consulting calls with people, I always give them a media list, a PR plan that they themselves can execute or someone on their team can execute. And I just give them just straight up tips of, hey, maybe clean up your Instagram a little bit. But I like to put that kind of thought leadership out in the world, because it doesn't hurt me. If they don't have the money to work with me, what's it hurting for me to still help them? Because one day they will come back when they do have the money. And I've seen that happen so many times.
Absolutely. I always say it's better to give more than you get, because in the
Mm-hmm.
long run, you get more than you give. It just works out that way. I would love for you to talk a little bit about that PR package that you mentioned, because um, to, maybe to inform people more about what that includes so they can know what to expect.
Yeah. So when I do my consulting call, you mean the consulting calls or, okay, consulting calls, generally I will just do a deep dive of their brand with them and their business and just say, hey, just where do you see yourself going? Like pie in the sky. What media do you want? Do you want to be on podcasts? We can get you on podcasts. Do you want to just be in print? Okay, we got that. Because a lot of people maybe don't want to be in front of the camera. So we figure out what their goals are. We figure out, okay, what's a unique angle? And a lot of the times these business owners, these entrepreneurs are so close to their business, they can't see the forest for the trees. They don't understand that what they are doing is different, or that their story is very unique. So we figure out those unique angles, get them thinking a little bit different, get the wheels turning. And then by the end of the call, we normally have a pretty good game plan, and I will help them. Maybe they need a press release. I can draft a press release for them, or tell them how to do it, give them a really solid template on how that works, or what a media pitch should look like and how they need to pitch the media. Then I'll give them a small press list of some really like realistic media, because I think that's very smart. I'm not going to give you a list of all New York Times writers, because you're probably not getting in that out the gate. So realistic, hyper local, really niche media that they can easily reach out to. And then we kind of go from there. And if they want to set up a follow-up call, we can. Or, I always say, email me once you start going. Ask me any questions you have. Maybe send me the pitch that you're going to send before you send it out. And I'll tell you, hey, change the subject line. Maybe don't attach massive files, things like that.
Awesome. So whenever we talk about our posts and things, we have that search engine optimization, and there are tools for that to improve that, but talk to the audience a little bit why that's important.
Yeah, I mean, you really just want your stuff to be seen. Honestly, you like when people are Googling you, you want your stuff to come up first. And I always tell my clients, no matter what, it's so important to have everything consistent across the board, like the messaging on your social. If there's something I'm pitching, your social needs to reflect that. So like even just from a journalist standpoint, if I'm sending something out, and they click the links that I provide, it needs to have it on there. So the consumer needs that as well. So just if everything's buttoned up and everything has those keywords, it's just going to help you so much more.
Awesome. All right. So one of the things I do is rapid fire. So your first rapid fire question is, what motivates you to be out there helping all of these people, especially ones that are just starting out and maybe are more confused than someone else?
I honestly, I know this is my purpose on earth. Like I just love helping people. And I know that this is something very easy for me to do that makes a huge difference for people. So like once I see one press hit completely change a trajectory of someone's business, like that's so motivating for me.
The other thing that I want to ask you is, you say that you work with people that are in the music and entertainment. And I wondered, do you have one story that might be intriguing for someone that you helped in one of those industries?
Yeah, so I've worked with massive artists across the board, but one story I always love to tell is that we had a jazz artist. We could not get him anything. Like he was great. He was touring with all these people. We just could not get him anything. But we started just talking to him and we're like, what do you do on tour? Like, what's some angles? And we found out that he would go on long distance bike rides on tour. And that was his way of seeing the city that he was in. And we're like, okay, great. So we started pitching that to Cycle Media, and then we got a bunch of press from it. So that is just proof that just chatting and figuring out those unique angles can really help. And who knows how many new eyes got to his music just from being in some Cycle magazines.
So true. And, that's when I teach public speaking, that's one of the things I say. You have to listen more than you talk to be a great speaker. And so that active listening is really important. What's next for you?
Oh gosh. I'm working with some really great national brands right now, so I'm very excited about it. I almost feel my business transferring a little bit more into the consulting instead of day-to-day pitching, which feels very scary to me because I've been, sending emails all day, every day for 15 years. So just the fact that people pay me for ideas is kind of jarring, but I'm like, maybe this is the next step. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm just trying to embrace it right now and have fun.
One of the things that I also teach is that confidence comes from courage, and courage is what you need, that when you get comfortable in what you do, to push outside of that. And so then that fear is also tied to excitement. It's the same kind of endorphins, if you will. So I know that you will be awesome in what you're doing. Well, let me share my screen so that everybody can see. The website, for those of you that are just listening, is melindajacksonpr.com. Again, that's melindajacksonpr.com. You can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Facebook is Melinda Jackson PR. LinkedIn, again, Melinda Jackson. You can find her that way. For Instagram and Twitter, you're going to go to Melinda Gale, Gale, Melinda Gale. I'm going to turn it over to Melinda now to tell you a little bit what you'll find on her website, as well as those social media outlets. Melinda, it's all yours.
Yeah. So my website's pretty basic. You'll just find out a little bit about me and the company. And then if you want to book a call with me, there's a link on there as well. If you want to get a consulting call scheduled, we can do that as well. Or you can reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm a little more fun on Instagram and Twitter. You're going to see a little bit more about my everyday life. I do have an MJPR Instagram. That's going to be a little more boring client stuff, pictures from events and things, but you'll see my everyday life on Twitter and Instagram on my personals.
Well, Melinda, you know, I could probably talk for hours. We'll definitely have to have you come back to talk about maybe some specific things, maybe that the actual PR checklist package or whatever that gives us how to kind of thing. But love having you here. And as always, I remind everyone that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.